Hey, it's Marley, aka Type 1 Reader, and welcome to this week's reading vlog. So I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to title this video yet, but basically I wanted to do a little themed reading vlog where I read some books that were popular from back in the day, from classic YA, fantasy time, 2014, that kind of era. Some really popular books that most people have read, but I just never got to during that time for whatever reason. But yeah, I own a few of them. One of them I got from the library, and I'm excited to just read some classic YA fantasies with some love triangle tropes, some dystopian competitions, all the fun YA tropes from that time period. So first of all, I'm just going to tell you the books and then we can hop into the vlog. First book I'm going to read is Shatter by Tahereh Mafi. This is such a popular young adult fantasy series, or I think it's kind of dystopian. I don't totally know where this book's going to go. All I know is I think there's a love triangle. I think there's a guy named Warren. We'll see what happens there. Then I want to read Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard. This actually might not be that old of one. 2015. Okay, no, it is that time. It's this, I feel like it's the start of like having more like royalty in YA, and it seems like it is gonna have like a magical competition. So I'm excited for this one. And then we have Daughter of Smoke and Bone by Laini Taylor. This is one I remember hearing people talk about a lot back in the day, but I don't fully know that much about it. I feel like this is the one I actually know the least amount of details about. And it came out in 2011. So yeah, it is quite old, but I'm excited to jump into all of these series, have a fun, cozy time. I think it's gonna be really nostalgic for me. Even though I didn't read these particular books back then, I was really into young adult fantasy back during this time. So I think it's gonna be really lovely for me to read these, maybe a little bit cringe as well, and we can see if I want to continue any of these series. So let's get into the vlog. Hello vlog, here for a check-in. I am 45% of the way through Shatter by Tahereh Mafi. Before we get into it, I have a little book haul, so I might as well show you. I picked up a few books today. It cost me a pretty penny because there weren't really any sales going on, but these are 3 books I wanted. So we have The Reappearance of Rachel Price, which I'm actually going to be reading next. I'm going to put this vlog on pause and read this instead. So you probably already saw this video. And then I got Hellbent by Leigh Bardugo. Obviously, I loved Ninth House last year. It was one of my favorite books. So of course, so we have to get the sequel. And then another sequel is The Prisoner's Throne. I just read the first book in this duology, The Stolen Heir. So now I have the second book. So that's my little haul. But anyways, I have been reading Shatter Me. I'm enjoying it in terms of it's pretty readable. It's pretty like easy to read with the way that it's written and the short chapters and stuff like that. But I will say it's also a little cringe. Definitely, it's a little bit cringy. We have basically our main character, Juliet. She is locked up at the beginning of the book in some sort of asylum. It's kind of like a jail situation. She's, you know, hungry, she's alone, and we know that it's because if she touches anyone, like makes skin-to-skin contact, she will kill people. Or at least that's what I thought going in. I guess it's just that it causes them like immense pain. It's not like she touches them and it's like zap, you're dead, but it's like it causes really intense pain that like it can kill you if you're touching her for a long period of time, which has happened in her past. So she basically grew up being like an outcast. Can you imagine just like casually going about your life and like knowing one of your classmates has this power? But that was basically the case for her growing up. So she was an outcast because of that. Obviously people did not want to get close to her. Even her parents like hated her because of this. Pretty traumatizing. And then basically like the end of the world happened. Like this dystopian situation happened where like things got so expensive no one could pay for anything. People were starving, and the environment, global warming, like all real types of things could happen. This isn't really like a far-fetched reason that the world crumbled. It's kind of like our real life issues of what could obviously did happen in this world. And then this organization called the Re-establishment, I think it's called, decided to take over and is like, we're gonna fix the world. But instead they've just kind of like made it worse. Like they've just kind of become dictators of the whole world. From what I understand, they just kind of like take all the resources for themselves. I don't know, it's a little bit unclear because I think the author really didn't want to focus on the world that much, and she wanted to focus on the love triangle and the romances, which honestly is fine for me. You know, it's fun. I love romances and YA fantasy. I think it can be very fun. But yeah, this is definitely not, you know, like a Hunger Games or like a Scythe where, you know, it's a very interesting plot. A lot of different topics are being explored and different themes. Like this basically was set up just so we could have this romance. So essentially, so she's locked up, right? And then they force this other guy to get locked up with her. And of course they have like a history, like it was someone she went to school with, blah blah blah. Now I don't want to spoil, but these books have been out for a long time, so maybe I'll like say a little bit more than I normally would, just because I feel like most people have read these. But like, of course the love interest is like the one person that she can touch, the one person that she touches and is not affected by. Pretty nice to have a romance with that person. So yeah, so we have that kind of situation, and then she gets taken out of that little prison and brought to like the leader of the reestablishment's place, and it's this guy named Warner. So that's the guy I had heard about, and I forget if I called him like Warren or something in the past because I wasn't confident in his name, but it's Warner, and this is the man I have heard about. I'm pretty sure I've heard about people like simping for him and people shipping him with Juliet, but right now he is a villain. Like he is a massive villain, massive bad guy. So I'm kind of interested to see what's going to go on with him and his character, because right now, I mean, I can see a glimpse of him being an interesting love interest. But for right now, I think it's just the girls going crazy for a villain. Like, I know sometimes that happens with the fans. You know, you guys were shipping Alina with the Darkling. You guys were shipping, you know, people with Klaus from Vampire Diaries. I like a bad boy, but sometimes I don't like when they're like too evil. That's like my boundary. So I'm just curious to see like if he's gonna have some redemption and if I'll actually like ship her more with him. But it is feeling like this is a love triangle series, which is fine for me because I'm someone who likes love triangles, and I know that's rare, but that is me. So I think this will be fun. So basically Warner wants to use her for her power because it's a pretty good power for like a bad guy to have, obviously. So since he's kind of in his villainous era, he's trying to use her for her power. So that's the setup of the book. I really don't have any idea where it's gonna go. As I said, I think the only thing I really knew about this book going in was that she had this kind of death power and that there was a guy named Warner in the book. So I'm having a fun time with it, but I do think there's some parts of it that are a little bit cringe. It's not going to be this world-changing series like the Hunger Games or anything like that, but I think it should be fun. We are eclipse ready. Peach is ready too. Don't mind it. Hello, checking in here with a little glass of wine. We're just making dinner, but I did finish Shatter Me. I was a little bit surprised to finish it so quick. I didn't realize the EPUB I had from the library, like 25% of it is literally a novella and not actually the Shatter Me book. So I guess when I did my 50% update before, technically I was further into the book. I was over 50% because I didn't know there was this little novella, which I am now currently reading. But anyways, let's just talk about the actual book Shatter Me. So it was definitely shorter than I thought it would be, as I was just saying, and it kind of ended very abruptly where I feel like we were just finally kind of building up to something and then it ended. So because of that, I was not really pleased with it. I did give it 3 stars, which is still a decent rating. Like, I don't hate the book or anything, but I just felt like it was literally just a setup and we didn't actually have like a complete kind of arc. I think the second half I didn't enjoy as much. As much as Warner is like a psycho evil guy, I think he is the most interesting part of this series from what I'm seeing so far, especially now that I'm into the novella, which is about him, which I guess I'll update you guys on after I finish that. But, you know, Juliet and Adam are, I guess, the main romance, and at first I was liking them in the beginning and thought they were cute, but they were just saying I love you so quick. It was so insta love that I just can't really can't really get into it. I guess I will find myself shipping Warner and Juliet just because it's more interesting to read. It's just such a product of its time. Like 2011, if I read it at that time, I think I would have liked it a lot more because it has so many of those tropes that were popular back then that I was eating up. But I think this is one that doesn't hold up for today's standards. I think the writing is a little bit cringy. I don't think it's the best, but I'm kind of intrigued to see the rest of the series because I really did just feel like this book was just setting things up. And you know, I don't want to spoil anything, but this is kind of like a superpower book. It kind of makes sense that there's other people in the world who have powers, not just her, which I didn't really think about before. But yeah, there's like a bunch of people with powers, and of course I've read some other books with that premise that I have enjoyed, so I think that could be interesting in the subsequent books where we're actually seeing more of these people and more of these different powers. So I think I will continue this series, but I'm not necessarily gonna rush to do it. I also think there's like an initial trilogy and then there's like another trilogy, so I'll definitely have to like judge as I go if I even want to like read all of the books or if I just want to read the first 3, and I guess the novellas that come with them. So yeah, just a 3-star, just mediocre. I have a feeling this might be like the worst book of the 3. I have more hope for the rest of them. I feel like the worlds are gonna be better developed than this one was. So yeah, I'm just gonna finish up this novella from Warner's point of view. I'll give you a quick update on that, and then I will get into the rest of the books. Hey guys, just checking in here while I have the camera set up with my bookshelves. I realized I never checked in about the end of Destroy Me, the novella for Shatter Me. I actually rated it 4 stars, and I guess I overall liked it more than the original book. As I think I mentioned, it's from Warner's point of view, and we're seeing what happened to him after the events of Shatter Me. It's really mostly just taking place in his head. We're learning so much about him and his past. It's honestly a bit of a roller coaster because, as I think I kind of said in my previous updates, I wasn't loving him totally in Shatter Me. He was very much coming across as this crazy villain. Like, I didn't know how he was going to get redeemed, but of course, like, not to spoil, but this book kind of does redeem him. Like, you really find out a lot of stuff that puts things into a different perspective. And now I'm like almost like completely on Team Warner. Like, it did make me more excited for the rest of the series to see what happens with him as Juliet kind of uncovers these different layers to him, and that he's not just this one-dimensional bad guy. He's not that bad. Like, he's still a killer, but it's like, you understand. So I might be a Warner girly now. We'll see. Yeah, now I'm reading Red Queen. I'll update you soon once I reach the halfway point in that. And there we have it, folks. I let go of a breath I didn't realize I was holding. Proof it was published in 2015. Hey guys, here for an update. I was going to update yesterday when I was looking a little bit better, but I was really stressed, so I was not able to. But I am halfway through Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard, so let's check in about it. At first, honestly, I thought it was a little bit slow. I was like, oh no, this is very much, you know, typical young adult dystopian, seen it all before kind of thing, right? So I wasn't immediately intrigued, but then when we got more into, I guess, the action and what makes our main character unique, then I got a lot more interested, and I actually am enjoying this quite a bit, I'm happy to say. I would say more than Shatter Me, for sure. I think I was right that Shatter Me would probably be the worst. Although, as you saw, we did get that typical line, I let go of a breath I didn't know I was holding, which I don't believe Shatter Me had that line. But yeah, so we have our main character, Mare. She is living in this dystopian society where there are 2 types of people. It's kind of like a caste system where there's the red people with red blood, and they are kind of like the people who live in poverty, the lower class, working class, and a lot of them get sent off to fight in this big war, which at first I was a little bit confused of what this war is, but I think it's coming a little bit more clear to me. But a lot of them get sent off to war, so a lot of them are, you know, put in these really dangerous situations. And then the upper class, and a lot of them are like royal and stuff, are silver, so their blood is silver. Weird. And they all have magical powers, so we're again dealing with a magical powers situation. That was a little bit confusing at first too. She just kind of threw us into it because every type of power has like a different name, and it's not like there's just, you know, a set number. It's not like, oh, there's 5 different powers you can have. It seems like it's pretty much unlimited types of powers you can have. And so there's people who are like Swifties, who are obviously fast. Like there's some sort of connection with their little name, or like, I think she was calling them Telkies when they have like telekinesis. Anyways, they have that for like almost an unlimited amount of powers that you can have. So that is cool. And that's obviously why they are the ones kind of in charge of the world, is because they are the more powerful ones. So Mare has this, you know, big family, but they, you know, have their struggles, they're poor and stuff like that. She is going to be sent off to war soon because I think she's almost 18, and she has this friend as well who I assume will be kind of like a love interest because he's a guy. I think he's going to be kind of like the best friend in the love triangle kind of thing. He also is going to be sent off to war soon, so she's like, we need to come up with a plan to not be sent off. In the meantime, she bumps into this man when she tries to steal from him, because that's kind of like her little skill, is she's a good little like thief. But he catches her and she ends up having this like heart-to-heart with him. You can kind of imagine that he is going to be the prince, and he is. And basically he helps her out and gets her a job in the castle, and then when she's at the castle, this kind of incident happens where she almost dies, and then her powers like get ignited, and we find out she has powers even though she's a red, and reds don't have powers, right? So it's like, oh, why is she so special? Why is this red displaying these powers? That was the really exciting kind of turning point for me. And so now she's basically in the castle. The royal family wants to kind of keep an eye on her and figure out what's going on with her, so they came up with this lie that she is a silver even though she's not, and they're kind of like studying her, keeping an eye on her. To do that, they have engaged her to one of the princes. So basically there's 2 princes, one of them's older and then there's the younger one. So she is now engaged to the younger one because the older one obviously has to get engaged to someone that would be like a powerful connection for the royal family, like it always is. So yeah, so that's the setup. So then she has kind of like 2 more love interests with the 2 brothers, which is very fun. I'm excited to see where those relationships go, because I think she has like a romantic connection with both of them, or a potential. And yeah, it's just gonna be a little bit like a basic dystopian. There's gonna be some sort of revolution, right? There's already rebels and like a rebel group that we know of that's probably gonna try and take down the Silvers, take down the royal family, and Mare is gonna be a big part of that because she is kind of like a symbol, right, for the Reds, like a symbol of hope, like Reds can have power kind of thing. So it's very, very, you know, inspired by the Hunger Games and that time, but it is cool how it's, I guess, like Shatter Me, it's combining dystopian with fantasy elements. And as I said, I am liking the characters more, liking the potential romances. I think it's going pretty well. I think it could be a 4-star at most is what I'm thinking. That's how it's going so far. Hello vlog, hello readers. I finished Red Queen. I ended up rating it a 4-star like I predicted. It was losing me a little bit in the middle, not gonna lie. I was wondering if I was gonna have to lower my rating a bit, but by the end there was, you know, a twist, which I appreciated and I liked. And there was some good action and stuff like that, and it left me intrigued for the rest of the series. I do think it's super basic and similar to other young adult fantasies and dystopians, don't get me wrong. It really is. It is not gonna change your life, similar to Shatter Me, but I think it still holds up, and obviously I still overall enjoyed it. I'm not the type to root for villains that much or like love evil love interests, but maybe that is a theme for this vlog with me kind of liking Warren. I kind of like one character in this book that ended up being kind of evil. I don't know, not seriously I guess, but I just found stuff with his character to be very interesting. So obviously you'll only know what I mean if you have read this, but yeah, overall I liked it. And it's funny because I'm also watching some older shows from the same time period. Me and Dakota are watching Teen Wolf and The Walking Dead, which I think both aired in 2011 or 2012. We're doing like a little swap where I'm making him watch Teen Wolf with me, which is a show I loved as as a teen, and he's making me watch Walking Dead for the first time with him. And so I'm just consuming so much like throwback media right now. I feel like maybe I need to read something like new and fresh. I feel like it's kind of a lot of like old tropes that I'm consuming right now, but it is still fun and nostalgic at the same time. So yeah, now I have one book left, and this vlog is taking me quite a bit longer than I thought it would. So I actually had to film and edit a whole other video that you will have seen, I guess, last week. But in the meantime, I did just reach 1,000 subscribers. So thank you guys for that, for everyone who has subscribed. Really appreciate it. I never, you know, expected to kind of hit this milestone when I made my channel. I didn't really know what my goals were, but it's definitely cool to reach this milestone. So yeah, let's get into the last book.
Did you all know I was British, by the way? Because I've been on a few stops in the States and everyone's like, why is she talking like that? Like, they think I'm doing a bit and then I don't stop talking like this and they're like, yeah, no, I am British.
You're not putting it on.
No, not at all. Or if I am, I'm pretty good.
You are really good.
And it's not easy for Americans or Canadians to do a British accent, so...
Well, we do them quite badly.
Yeah. So it's easy for Brits to do it, not the other way.
And how do you feel about the Canadian accent so far?
I tried to do my American accent the other day and someone told me I sounded Canadian instead,
Oh,
so...
that's a compliment. Thank you.
Yeah. I know. I do remember what we were talking about. Oh, the book! There's a documentary.
I would like to apologize for the bed not being made behind me. Sorry. It's been a long day, a long week, a long month. Got a lot of stress going on this month. I don't know if anyone else has been told that April is going to be the most chaotic month of the year due to like astrology. I don't know if it's every sign, or I know it's definitely Libras are having a chaotic time right now, and it is literally true for me, which is interesting. Anyways, checking in for Daughter of Smoke and Bone by Laini Taylor, my first ever Laini Taylor book. She is quite a popular young adult author, so it is exciting to finally read one of her books. I've actually been really enjoying this book so far, and I would probably say my enjoyment is the highest out of the 3 books, even though it is taking me a while to get through it, just because I have a lot going on right now. But when I am able to read it, I've been having a good time, and it's been quite a bit more unique than the other 2 books were. So as I said, it's a young adult fantasy, and we're following a main character named Karu, and she is living in the Czech Republic. She's living in Prague. So that right off the bat was kind of interesting to have a setting, you know, outside of North America. And we find out she is pretty unique, essentially, and I don't even know what the back of the book says of how much to spoil here, but she was raised by Chimera, these kind of monstrous magical creatures. She was raised by them. She can like go through portals into their world. That's where she was raised. Now she's living in the human world because she's going to art school, but she still goes back and visits them and like sees them as her family. Chimera, I think I'm saying that right, Chimera, they're basically like made up of multiple beings. So like might be half human, half ram, half human, half lion, part snake, part lion, like all these types of things. But yeah, she will still go back and she will do little missions for them. So she'll travel the world through these portals doing tasks for these beings that she is friends with. In the meantime, we see a bit of her human life as well, with her art school, her human friend, her ex-boyfriend, that kind of thing. So I've just found this world quite interesting to read about. I still don't know exactly what's going on with her or what her past is going to be. The only thing is this line they keep saying of once upon a time an angel and a devil fell in love. It did not end well. I don't know if she's like the child of an angel and a devil, or if I'm just kind of missing what that line means. We also started to get points of view from another character named Akiva, and he is an angel, and that's going to be like the love story. So I don't know if that line is just about like the fact that he's an angel and they're calling her a devil, and that's what they mean by that, but very intriguing. So yeah, so there's this angel who's kind of taking down this demonic activity that she is taking part in. So they're kind of at at odds with each other. I guess that's all I'll say. I feel like I really did reveal quite a bit of this book, but again, it's super old, so you might already know. I feel like Laini Taylor's known for really like beautiful prose and stuff like that. I'm not finding it overly special. It's definitely not like overly flowery or anything like that, so that's good. It's just a good time. I think the characters are likable. I think they're understandable. The plot is intriguing, and I look forward to having time to finish this. Oh, I don't even think I commented on the fact that like I met Holly Jackson on Monday. I think I am gonna insert a clip from when I went to her author signing earlier this week, but that was one of the many things I've kind of had going on. That was very fun. I did a whole TikTok, which you can find on my TikTok account or my Instagram account if you want to see more of that event. But yeah, she was great, so that was a highlight. All right, here I am a few days later. I finished this a couple days ago, but I haven't had a chance to update. But yes, I finished this book and I actually gave it 4 stars. I think I was raving about it in the first update, and then it started to slow down for me. I wasn't actually liking a certain section of it once the love interest started interacting. It was very much giving like insta love. It had kind of a similar trope to a couple books I read from back in the day, so I was like, oh, it's losing its uniqueness. The one word I'll say is maybe like reincarnation kind of vibes, which I feel like I don't love. But then we started to get some like flashbacks and background on this sort of twist, and I actually really enjoyed that part. If you read it, you know I'm not going to get into too many details, but then it got back to being a lot more unique, a lot more interesting. It's kind of like a Romeo and Juliet story in a way, very much forbidden love, as you can imagine from the angel and a devil comments that this book has. Very much about 2 different types of people at war, and can we find a way to kind of come together through the love of these 2 people is the vibe. So not a super unique premise, I guess, but I just overall did enjoy the way that Laini Taylor did this story, and I'm interested to keep reading the series. I think I'm interested in reading all of these series, even though I didn't love these as much as I maybe wanted to. I still did give 2 of them 4 stars, which is great. I think I'm going to continue all of the series though, but I will say I don't think I'm in a huge rush to continue any of them. But this was pretty fun. I think I learned that even though I thought these throwback tropes that we've seen before many times, I thought they were going to be fun. They did sort of irk me a little bit. I did still have fun with it, but they did sometimes irk me a little bit in how they were just so reminiscent of all the other books during this time period from 2011, 2014. So yeah, that's going to be the end of this vlog. I've been filming it so long. I've put off uploading it, but yeah, I did have a good time overall. Thank you guys for watching. Maybe if you are still here, let me know down below what your favorite throwback YA fantasy series is. Is it any of these 3? Is it another one? Let me know. We can talk about it in the comments. All right, hope you have a great rest of your month. I'll see you next time. Bye.